Hey everybody, Jake's Garage here. We're going to do another little, hopefully quick project today. If your driveway looks like this, there's a good chance your car's got a leak. This happens to be power steering fluid, and it happens to be, that's right, the good old Highlander again. It's running through a reservoir a week, if not faster. And I knew about this problem, but it's gotten really bad, so now we're going to have to fix it. So on these Highlanders, they have a very, in my opinion, intricate or elaborate return system for the power steering system. It kind of starts off, actually I'm not even 100% sure where that goes. I guess over to the rack, but it goes metal to rubber to metal to rubber to metal to rubber. So it's a very long metal to rubber situation. But what happens with these is, and it's very, very common, is they get rusty right down here. And if you look close on this one, if it'll focus, right here, it's basically paper thin, and it's leaking severely. So what Toyota will tell you to do is replace that entire system there. And it's not that expensive. Maybe it's like $100 for the line, maybe, I think, something like that. I'm not sure. But what I'm going to show you how to do today is how to fix it cheaper than that and easier than that, and shouldn't cost you much more than a few bucks and some extra time here. So let me get kind of situated, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I might do this off camera, I'll see, but basically there's a 10mm bolt holding this bracket, which you're not going to be able to see, that bracket right there, and there's a 10mm bolt holding that bracket. I'm going to disconnect those. I'm going to pop the hose clamps off. That's how you can tell this is a return line. A pressure line wouldn't have just squeezed together hose clamps. And I'm going to try to pull that rubber hose off of both ends of this metal section, and long story short is we're going to replace that, just the metal section, out of something we make. So stay tuned, let me see how I make out. Alright, here is the offending piece. Trying not to get too filthy because I got to get in the car, but you can see it's basically flaky rust. But anyways, I'm gonna go try to find something that matches that, fairly close in diameter, and we're gonna make something very similar to this. And I think that's gonna work good. I'm gonna try to clean this off first and see how long it's got to be. Okay, so what you're gonna want to get is you're gonna want to go to Pep Boys or AutoZone and get yourself some 3/8 brake line. You can get these in 30-inch lengths, which is what I got, and I think you're gonna start to get the point here. A couple soft bends. We're not gonna go for all of that intricacy, but we're gonna get it pretty close, and 30 inches is right up, just about right. I might have to put an extra little more kink in here to make it work. I am gonna pull these off if I can. I don't know if I can. I think these are clipped on there, or crimped on there. So worst case scenario is I'll just put some zip ties wherever I can and keep it. So what I'm gonna do is, I don't think I have to take these off. I was basically gonna just kind of put a zip tie on either end and just keep them from rattling noise, but I might take them downstairs and just hit them with the Dremel real quick and zip those off, just to get them off of there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Like I said, to make this kind of short, I'm gonna probably cut these off. You don't have to do that. I'm gonna cut them off. I'm gonna throw some bends on there, and I'm gonna try to get these off, and then I'll take kind of a little shot of what I what I wind up with. So I got this and a bottle of Dextron 3 to fill it back up, and I got some clamps just to kind of clamp it all back together instead of using those squeeze clamps, and I paid 16 bucks, so good bit cheaper. Okay, so this is basically what you're shooting for. That's the one I made. Again, very crudely bent, but it'll get the job done. These clips, you can transfer them. You have to bend those there's little tabs here, kind of bend them, and then the piece will separate and you can slide it off. So then all that's left to do is kind of clean up your area so that you can see if it's leaking, which I started to do, and go ahead and jam that in there. Now, you can be rough with this one. You can bend this by hand. and because it's not rusty, it's not going to break. So once you get it in there, if you have to final tweak it, just manhandle it, rough it, rough it into place, push it, pull it, get those two hold down bolts in, and that's it. So it's also worth noting, I cut the nuts off of this line, and the only reason I didn't just cut the line and slide them off is because I want these flares to stay. Those flares are going to kind of act as keepers, and even though it's not a pressure line, I'm going to use 2 clamps per end and just clamp directly behind the flare. This line is a tad bit thinner than that, but I don't think it's going to matter, and clamping them behind the flare like that's going to keep it from leaking. So I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. Haven't tested it yet, but you can see my line. Here's my 2 clamps. So I was able to get the line bolted back in. It just kind of runs along, goes right to there, also bolted back in, double clamped. Shouldn't leak. It's not a pressure line, but I wouldn't think that one would have leaked too, but I guess the rusty holes killed it. So I'm going to go ahead and, now the correct thing to do would be to jack up the whole front of this thing and with the wheels off the ground, cycle it. I might do that. Yeah, I'm probably going to do that. I'm probably going to get both of them off the ground, and then what you do is you fill the reservoir up, start the car, and then you want to go all the way to the right, all the way to the left. I don't like going all the way to lock. If you do, don't jam it to the lock, but that should eventually cycle it through, and the quieter it gets, the the more it's cycled through. So hopefully that helps somebody out, that how it works. Let me go test it, and then I'll let you know if it leaks. Okay, I just ran it for about 5 or 10 minutes, cycled the steering a bunch, noise went away, no leaks as of yet. What I'm probably going to do is, before I put this tire back on, I'm going to dry it off real good on the bottom of the control arm and the front subframe, and then in the next day or two I'll look and see if it's wet. But yeah guys, that's how you do it. This thing here can just go right in the garbage, and hopefully that helps you out, and if it did, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.